here we go. Hold my banner off the heels of what I think was one of the greatest, if not the greatest win of the season for the Celtics in Game 3 over the Pacers. Getting you ready for that Game 4, of course, coming up. Travis Thomas here with the walking, talking triple-double. Producer extraordinaire, Division I baller at Fresno State and UTEP, Ante Campbell. Tay, I mean, what a beautiful holiday weekend. Nothing better than that Game 3 comeback win for the Celtics. Though.
Yeah, no doubt, 2Ts. Look, I was walking around the city. I was at Faneuil Hall. I was at Seaport. I was all around this weekend.
Yeah.
And the city is absolutely juiced.
Yes.
For that Game 3 win by the Celtics. So I'm excited to see more what they got, man.
Well, listen, they should be juiced. We'll start there, and we'll bring you back. I know we're always playing games on this show. I never have any idea what you've cooked up for me, so we'll see. We'll bring you back in a minute. But I want to start there with Game 3 because I don't know how you all feel. Ante said, the city is juiced, and I certainly feel that way, that Game 3 was the best win of the Celtics season by far. Regular season, playoffs, you name it. For everything that we watched. I mean, they were down bad. I know no one was worried that the series was in jeopardy, but it was just very much a here we go again with this Celtics team, right? The only difference was it wasn't at home. It was on the road. But generally speaking, Game 3 was a game the Celtics would lose. We all know that. Indiana's best player is out. You have no excuse to not thump this team, and what happens? It's competitive throughout, and you're down bad. And then all of a sudden, boom, they flipped a switch and just went to an entirely different level. Hell, they went to a different stratosphere on the Pacers, and it was one that the Pacers just could not match. And we saw the rest was history as they went on to win that game. I mean, look, I'm looking at the Pacers a little bit differently than I have the Heat or the Cavs. Here's what I mean. And we all know this series is over. Whether it's 4 or 5, whatevs, it's over. And I'm saying get your brooms out because I think it's over. But I do like the Pacers' future. I do feel as though this Pacers team will be back, and they're going to be tough. I look at them in the Orlando Magic in the same sort of way, where they're young, they're getting playoff experience, but they're going to come back and be better from it. And the Celtics are going to have to deal with both of them for years to come. Whereas, I mean, you all remember this, right? We basked in it, where the Celtics knocked the Heat off, and immediately after that series, Pat Riley's taking shots at Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero. So we don't know what they're going to look like. So I said Celtics ended that franchise. How about the Cavs? I mean, after that series was over, the Cavs fired their coach. A lot of infighting. Is Donovan Mitchell staying or going? Is Darius Garland staying or going? So I said the Celtics ended that franchise. I don't feel that way about the Pacers. I like what they have going. To be honest, we saw it. They gave the Celtics everything they could without their best player. It's not like that team doesn't fight hard, but they just don't have the horses. It is what it is. You're not as good. There are levels to this, and you're not at the Celtics level yet. It's okay. The future still bodes well for them. I thought in that game, in a lot of ways, Game 3 felt a lot like Game 1. Remember Game 1? The Pacers choked that one away. Celtics were lucky. No problem. Could have been a different series had the Pacers won it. Felt the same way in Game 3. I mean, they, without their best player, gave the Celtics everything they could handle. Just came up short. You're not good enough. It happens. It happens to young teams. Stay the course, Pacers, and maybe you can hang in there with the Celtics for years to come. But as of now, it's just not your time. Here was a fired up, ticked off Rick Carlisle after that comeback win for the Celtics in Game 3.
Well, I really so proud of our guys and how they competed from start to finish. Our thing all year has been just compete level and bring everything you can and all that. And they did. There were a lot of things out there that I disagreed with that, I think any Indiana fan would disagree with, but we're going to be undeterred. We're going to be back here Monday night looking to extend the series, and we're going to come at them even harder. We have to. We have to. We don't have a choice.
Rick, you were up 8 with about 2.5 minutes to go in this game.
I just watched the ending, so you don't need to remind me. I saw everything that happened. Everything.
What to you was the difference
Everything.
in that? Everything?
Everything that happened, yeah.
There's nothing that brings me more joy than when coaches get so frustrated and they start lashing out at the media. I love it. But you know what? I understand Rick Carlisle's frustration. I mean, stick a fork in them. They're cooked. We see it. We know it. And look, I gave the Pacers props. I do believe their future's bright. They'll be back. They'll be fine. But for now, tip of the cap to the Celtics, because they may have a brain fart here or there early in a series, but you got to give them credit. During this playoff run in closeout games, they are getting the job done. And it appears as though they are peaking at the right time, headed back to the NBA Finals. I do believe Banner 18 is loading. And so with that, let's look at I'll call it championship tiers for all the teams involved. Here's what I mean. I believe all this stuff breaks down into tiers. It's not just as simple as, oh, well, so-and-so won the championship this year. No. Let's start with the most important thing, which is, of course, the players. But not just any players, your great players. In this case, for all these teams left, you're talking about all-timers. We'll start with the Celtics, for example. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean, obviously, both of them, even without a title, are already statistically two of the greatest Celtics to do it all time. But we know what it is in this town. Let's have an honest conversation. I mean, the show is called Hold My Banner for a reason, right? It's like Hold My Beer, but with championships, because those matter more in Boston. So you have to get at least one to be in any conversation for all-time anything. So I believe they get that title this season. And sure, all-time Celtics lore with that one title, you could start having the convo. But I actually believe it's even bigger than that when it comes to Tatum and Brown. I believe that with one title, now you have to start talking about them in those same breaths as great all-time dynamic duos in the league history. So you got to get a title for them for not only franchise, but all-time big-picture NBA stuff. And then we'll see if they can get more as time goes on. How about Al Horford? A ring for Al Horford at this point of his career. Fan favorite, everyone loves him. Old man Al, go win it for the old man, all that. I mean, it puts a bow on what I believe is a Hall of Fame career. You look at Al Horford's career, totality, won at every level. I mean, he won big in the college game. Early in his NBA career, he got all the numbers and the accolades and the All-Star game and all that stuff. Then, late now, chasing a ring to kind of put a bow on it, full circle. I believe Al Horford's a Hall of Famer, but he needs a ring to really validate that. How about Kyrie Irving? I know, not the most popular guy around here. And look, on that resume, in that legacy, that Boston chapter is going to be there. Him stomping on Lucky's going to be there. But think about this. If Kyrie can win a ring without LeBron, what does that do for his career? How many times have we seen that song and dance in the NBA? Great players, great dynamic duos, like we just talked about with Tatum and Brown. Well, when they split up, it's like who won the divorce, right? Everyone's like, who's going to get a ring first? Is either going to get a ring without the other one. So Kyrie, to be able to win one without LeBron, says a lot for his Hall of Fame career. And look, I know Luka's still young, but I think we can all admit, barring injury, if he can stay healthy, that guy's a Hall of Famer. I mean, we could see it with thine eyes, right? So if Luka can get a title at this stage of his career, woo, boy, that takes a lot of weight off of his shoulders. And in that town, think about this. I'm sure he's being compared to Dirk all the time. Dirk got one ring. So Luka must get one ring, even in his own town, to be considered an all-timer. How about Anthony Edwards? Still young. I say the same thing as Luka. Barring health, I think all of us could see a path for him to be an all-timer, to be a Hall of Famer. Well, if you thought the Jordan comparisons were annoying and obnoxious already, imagine if he gets a ring this season. Oh, that'll ramp up even higher. I mean, he'll be his airness before the end of the summer. If he gets a ring, let the media tell it. And then think about his teammates, too. Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. 2 guys, Hall of Fame resumes. You think a ring wouldn't help push them into it? I do. So you have the tier of great, all-time great players. Then I would say tier 2 is franchises. Yeah, franchises. I mean, who are we talking about here? The Celtics, banner 18, an iconic brand. Forget the NBA, forget basketball. In all of sports, you get banner 18, stamps you as the GOAT franchise. By the way, your rival, the Lakers, how close are they to a championship right about now? Doesn't feel close to me. I mean, this weekend, I'm minding my own business, and my timeline goes crazy on my phone. I look up, and it says Rich Paul says that LeBron James is a free agent. Oh, great. So, I mean, are the Lakers close to a title? Even if you bring LeBron back, and you run it back with the Brow and LeBron, you don't have any assets. You don't have any money. You can't go get anyone. Are they beating Denver? Are they beating Minnesota? Are they beating Dallas? Hell, are they beating OKC? I mean, the West is loaded with young, dynamic, explosive, awesome teams who now all have playoff experience. I don't think the Lakers are any closer to a banner than the Celtics are, certainly. So, advantage Celtics there. Then you look at the Mavericks. I mean, look, not a lot of history of winning there, but I brought up Dirk. Dirk was able to get a championship for that franchise. If Luka can do the same, well, now all of a sudden you're having a different conversation. I mean, great for Dallas. That city can hang its hat, pun intended, it can hang its cowboy hat on 2 of the greatest European players the NBA has ever seen playing for their franchises. And they got it done. So credit to Dallas if they can get that done. And then the Timberwolves. Look, again, much like the Mavericks, not a lot of history of winning here, but let's have an honest conversation. Outside of the Celtics, I actually believe that the Timberwolves getting a title could put them in that conversation. We've had it with Denver, where they could maybe be the new modern-day dynasty. Their superstar player, super young, only getting better. All the pieces around them I talked about, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, they're not long in the tooth. They're in their prime, and they're all under contract. I mean, you could be – look, if the Timberwolves can get a title now, all of a sudden that confidence of that franchise goes up. They could rattle off 3 and 4 years or whatever it is, whatever standard we hold to modern-day dynasties these days. So there you go. Star all-time players, franchises. What about the coaches? Can't leave them out. I mean, rings define them too, right? Chris Finch, Joe Mazzulla, both of these dudes got the job, ton of talent around them, ton of pressure to win right away. Hey, you don't have time to really learn on the job here. You got to get it done now. These teams are ready to win now. Seemingly, both of them have. So I almost look at them in the same category as a ring for either one of them. Chris Finch or Joe Mazzulla just says, we belong. It validates them. We're great coaches. We can do this. We belong here. Okay, no problem. How about Jason Kidd? Already proved he's an all-time great player, but he could be in rarefied air where you have, yeah, sure, all-time great player, bow down, but wait, you won a title as a coach too? Oh, you were a great coach as well. Not many people can say they've done that in the game of basketball. Jason Kidd has the opportunity to do it. Okay, so great all-time players, franchises, coaches. Got to get your role players, right? your Jags, your role players, your ancillary pieces, your supporting cast. I mean, I'm not throwing shade here, but Drew Holiday, Derek White, maybe a P.J. Washington if the Mavs win. I mean, we know the names. These guys' careers are defined by championship moments. We've already seen Drew Holiday have it. I mean, I still remember plays he made for the Bucks on that championship run. We're seeing it so far in a Celtics uniform with him. How about Game 3 at the end of that game? You don't win that game without Drew Holiday's defense. So we're seeing these moments already. He's been way more aggressive in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. Drew Holiday, Derek White, I mean, their entire careers and legacies are based off of championship moments. How did you help your team win a title? You know, so many people take offense to the word role player. It's not offensive at all. I mean, guys have brands of that. We don't know Robert Horry if it's not for all those big shots he had. His whole brand is that. Big Shot Bob, right? How many rings is that guy? He's a Lord of the Rings. No one's saying Bob Horry's the GOAT or one of the greatest players of all time, but he's a champion. And all those moments built his legacy and his brand. You don't think Drew Holiday and Derek White, P.J. Washington, guys like this, you don't think they think about that? Of course they do. So your role players, your Jags, they have their own tier where the championships affects their career as well. I just believe the championship this season, not that it's not this any other season, but let's just focus on the right now. It's layered. It's complex for all of these remaining franchises, players and coaches. So we'll see who captures it. My gut, Banner 18, loading. And our summer around here is about to be lit, and I can't wait. All right, let's bring him in. Ante Campbell, who was actually out this weekend partying all through the city, said to start the show that the Celtics energy in this city is palpable. So we bring him in to play a game. I have no idea what we're playing. I'm sure I'm going to stink at it, Ante. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. And before we get to the game, I have to say this.
Yes.
The Celtics have to win this championship.
Yeah.
And they have the most pressure to win this championship because if they lose, I think they lose the most mentally if they lose this championship. Sure. This team has already been poked apart by the media. And it could be a team that could be ready to splinter mentally.
Yes.
If they don't win, there could be guys in the locker room we don't know. There could be guys that are saying, hey, I'm better than this guy. I should get more love than this guy.
Yep.
We haven't seen it, but it's possible that that's brewing. And I know the media has kind of been pointing fingers at it. So if they don't win this chip, man, it's really just going to be tough sledding.
I think you bring up a great point, Ante, because if you notice, and you sort of alluded to it, right now Jaylen Brown is just the most spicy mouth I've ever seen from him. I've never seen Jaylen Brown more spicy mouth than he is now. I mean, he's dropping F-bombs all over the place. I can never get the guy to even talk. Now all of a sudden he's cussing in press conferences and interviews. Like, what's going on here? We know, Jason Tatum, obviously, if they don't get it done, is going to shoulder more of the blame than anyone. I think you bring up a really good point. And I think a lot of the arrows will be pointed at Joe Mazzulla as well. So and listen, by the way, I think that's fair. If they don't win it, Ante, I think you do have to have some hard conversations here because Brad Stevens, God bless him, he did everything he could to get this team where it is now, to roll the dice, make moves. Drew Holiday was an excellent acquisition. Avi, Kristaps Porzingis, we'll see, assuming he comes back and he's himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, you can't blame him. He did everything right. So you're going to have to start allotting the blame to different places, and there could be changes that are made if they don't win it. So you bring up a good point.
100%. But you can't always blame it on the coach. Look, if you're going to point at Mazzulla, coaches can mess these things up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We see it with the Suns situation. They have a lot of talent as well.
Right.
The Milwaukee Bucks situation, they had a ton of talent, and, they had to fire a coach during this year because it didn't really work out. So hats off to Joe for actually keeping these guys happy throughout this situation, even if they don't win this championship. I think he should get another opportunity to coach this team next season. But he will definitely be on the hot seat. But all right,
sure.
let's switch it over to the game. This game is called Win in 7, okay?
Okay, all right.
So for this game, you get 14 total questions. After the 7th question, though, if you don't have the player right, then you obviously get a picture of their silhouette, and then you'll get 7 more questions after that.
Oh, my God. I ain't got 14 questions in me. All right, so I'm going to try to get this in 7. So I just ask you questions and then you give me the answer, and then I try to guess based on that. Okay, is this a current player in the league?
This is a current player.
Okay, is this a current player in the playoff picture as we speak?
No, they are not currently in the playoffs.
All right. Would you say this player, although current, you say this player has a Hall of Fame resume or no? Is this a Hall of Famer we're talking about
Yes,
or no?
I would say this is currently a Hall of Famer.
Okay. All right. Currently a Hall of Famer. Okay. Okay. Not in the playoffs, though.
No.
Did this player make the playoffs?
This player made
this season?
No, they did not make the playoffs this season. No.
Okay, well, there goes my Paul George or James Harden guess.
All right.
So this is a current player in the league who did not make the playoffs, but does have a Hall of Fame resume.
Yep.
Boy, that's already tough. Is this player a swingman, guard, or a big man?
Yeah, I would say guard forward. Guard forward.
So like a combo?
Yeah.
Guard forward. All right. Eastern or Western Conference?
This would be a Western Conference player. You're at 6.
A Western Conference player. Okay. Has he played for the same team or multiple teams throughout their career?
He's played for the same team his entire career.
All right. Okay, so no playoffs this year. Guard forward combo, Western Conference, played for the same team his whole career.
Now, obviously, you get the opportunity to see the silhouette. Hopefully we can bring up the silhouette.
Bro, that's not going to work. This looks like a locked player on a video game. This does absolutely. I hate when you're like, I'll show the silhouette. This means nothing. Look at this.
Oh, man.
Ryan, can you take that full? This is a locked player in a video game. It means nothing. This silhouette means nothing to me. This does not help me. All right, I don't want to guess anymore. So let's see here. Western Conference.
Yep.
Played for the same team.
Yep.
Hall of Fame. Resume, you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Guard forward. I got nothing. I mean, who didn't make the playoffs this year with a player of this caliber? I mean, like, it can't be. My brain automatically, and this silhouette tells me I'm wrong. My brain went to Wemby, but his team was so bad, and he doesn't have a Hall of Fame career.
Hall of Fame career.
I almost feel like a team that's glaring to me would be like a Golden State because they did not make the playoffs. You would have several Hall of Fame careers there. Mm-hmm. He's only played with one team. Mm-hmm. That is not Draymond's silhouette.
No, it's not.
I mean, I guess it could be Clay or Steph, either or. Who else didn't make it?
Guard forward, don't forget
Guard forward, which would be, I guess, technically Clay. Let me go Clay.
You are correct, sir. Hey! Round of applause. Round of applause.
For the record, that silhouette did not help me. That's what I mean. That silhouette doesn't look like Clay.
Well, it looks more like Clay than it looks like Steph or Draymond.
Well, Draymond for sure. Steph, it could have been. But the guard-forward combo helped me out that it wasn't Steph.
So, of course, I got to shout out Clay's accomplishments and his accolades. 4-time NBA champ, 5-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA third team, 1-time All-Defensive second team, and, of course, he's averaged 19.6 per game over his career so far, and 41% from 3.
Wow.
Yeah, ultimate shooter.
Wow.
All right, man. So, look, I got another one for you, all right? This one, start, bench, cut, man.
Start, bench, cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
And trade, actually. We got trade in this one as well.
Start, bench, cut, trade. Got it.
So, look,
all right,
we got Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Luka Doncic, and Anthony Edwards, all the guys that lead their team that are left in these Western and Eastern Conference Finals. So what do you think, Travis? Who are you starting? Who are you benching? Who are you trading? And who are you cutting?
All right, let's talk this out. We'll go order of operations first. Let's do the easiest first.
Okay.
Let's get Hallie's ass out of there. So I'm cutting Tyrese Halliburton. Nothing against the kid, but he's still developing. I think there's been moments during the Pacers playoff run where he does step up to the plate on the big stage, but there's also been moments where I've seen him shrink.
Yep.
So he's just not there yet. So I'm going to cut him off rip.
I can see that.
All right, so cut is done. What were the other? Start, bench, or trade?
Start, bench,
right?
or trade. Yep.
Okay. Boy, Tatum's just on a different level right now. I know I'm going to play him. Luka, I mean, just putting Rudy Gobert in a blender was amazing to watch. He's playing on another level. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna trade Ant.
Okay.
And you know I'm an Ant fan.
Yeah.
I love Anthony Edwards, but he is young. He's looked young at times, much like Tyrese Halliburton, but not quite as bad.
Yeah.
Ant has stepped up to the moments, but he's also disappeared in moments. I think he's tired as hell chasing around Kyrie.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm going to trade him. Let's trade Ant.
Trading that.
I can get a lot of assets because he's young.
Yep.
So what do I got left? Starter, bench, right?
Yep. Starter, bench. Tatum or Doncic, man. Who do you like more right now?
I think I'm going to start Tatum. My reasoning is I just feel as though he can give me a little bit more than Luka on the defensive end. Say what you want about Jason Tatum. He plays real defense. I'll start him. And then I'll bench Luka, but I'm bringing him off that bench quick.
Yeah, I like that list.
You could obviously start Luka as well and bench Tatum, but those are the two guys I want to roll with.
Yeah. I get that. I like that list. Yeah, it was pretty easy for me to get Tyrese out of there.
Yeah.
As my boys like to say, he has no wiggle, which means he can't get open one-on-one. And I don't like that for a player of his caliber. You know what I mean? This all-star level player that really can't beat anybody one-on-one.
Right.
I'm not rocking with that, so I'm cutting him. Definitely trading Anthony Edwards as well. I agree, of the three that are left.
Really? Okay.
I think that he's kind of, like you said, he's shown up in some big moments, and he's also disappeared because he's tired and he's young, and this is based off of right now. In the future, maybe I take him over some of these other guys.
Sure.
But based on taking him as a player as he is right now, I think I would trade him and get a lot of value back for sure on that trade. And then I'm actually going to flip-flop these.
Yeah.
I'm going to start Luka.
It's fine.
I'm going to start Luka. I like how he's bought into the defensive end of the floor, how he's scoring. He likes to take on the challenge. He's an every night kind of guy. I think he's just been more consistent than Tatum has been in playoff games throughout their careers. So I'm going to take Luka on this one, and then obviously I'm going to bench Tatum at that spot.
Yeah, so we agree that those are the last two standing, and then it's just a matter of who's starting, who's on the bench. And look, I get it. And as I said, I'm not going to argue with you for going Luka over Tatum. I will just caution you of this, conditioning, commitment, never been a question with Jason Tatum.
Right.
There has been questions. Luka showing up to camp, not in shape, or there's been some questions there. Now, obviously, we know in between those lines on the floor, Ante, there's no doubt that Luka is a straight dog.
Right.
But again, I'm giving Tatum the edge here just off of some of the questions you've had with Luka, you've never had with Jason Tatum. Yeah. And I think consistently, Jason Tatum gives you more on the defensive end. There are nights. Now, in this playoff run, I'll give Luka credit. He has definitely played defense. We saw him get banged up because of it in the last series against the Thunder. But, Luka can disappear on the defensive end and has been known to do that.
For sure.
Jason Tatum, he maybe won't shoot the ball as well.
Right.
Sometimes he won't be as aggressive.
Yeah.
Or as demonstrative, Ante, as we want.
Yeah.
But he's going to give you effort on the defensive end. That's just why I went him there. But at least those two we agree on.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I like Luka a little bit more because he's got that, you know what I'm saying, type of dog in him, that type of dog, you know what I'm saying? He's real barking, you know what I'm saying? He's going to yell at you. He's going to bark at Rudy Gobert. He has that dog in him, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to rock with him because of that. I think sometimes Tatum, he just becomes a chihuahua. You know what I'm saying? He's got the little, just a little, soft bark or something like that. So that's why I'm rocking with Luka, man. But
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Your Luka dog may need a rabies shot, dog. Like that. That dog was a little. Hey, that dog was a little aggressive. Hey, Tay, that dog gonna bite the hell out you.
Facts. All right, man. Now let's talk about Andrew Nembhard, bro.
All right.
So Andrew Nembhard has been, having a great game. In game 3, he had a great game. We obviously know that he had a big turnover in both game 1 and game 3 that really kind of, lost. No, I wouldn't say lost the game, but it definitely didn't help. You know what I'm saying?
He's a young dude.
So I just want to know, is he up next? People are kind of comparing him to a young Jalen Brunson, a young Fred VanVleet. What do you think of that comparison, man?
I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily see either in him. Certainly not Brunson. Let's just shut that down now. I mean, VanVleet, I guess. He's had a different or decent career, made some good money, hit some big shots. Mm-hmm. I would maybe look at that comparison a little bit more than I would Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is a monster. I mean, the dog you just gave Luka wasn't even big enough. That rabies dog you gave Luka wasn't even big enough for what Jalen Brunson brings to the table. And by the way, let's acknowledge this. In Dallas, we saw Jalen Brunson take over games with Luka.
Yeah.
Take over games, do what he's doing in New York. It's just now we have him being the man. We have a larger sample size in New York, obviously. Mm-hmm. But we saw flashes of that in Dallas. Nembhard I do like. Yeah. But I don't see that. Even though, look, his 32 against the Celtics in Game 3 was impressive that you brought up, Ante. Mm-hmm. But did you ever at any point – I didn't feel any Jalen Brunson. I didn't feel killer. I didn't feel like he was going to close the game. I'm certainly not blaming him. As you said, the turnover was costly, but I'm not going down the road of blaming him for them losing Game 3. I think it was more based on what the Celtics were doing than what the Pacers didn't do. Mm-hmm. And also, at times, kind of feels like he defers to Tyrese Halliburton or a Pascal Siakam.
Right.
I didn't see that from Jalen Brunson ever, even with Luka. It never felt like he was deferring. It just felt like Luka's Luka. And then when it was time for Jalen Brunson to cook, he cooked, which is why the Knicks were actually smart for once and said, you know what? I believe this guy can be a 1. And they were right.
Right.
I just think this kid, he's really good. He'll be one of the great small guards in the league right now. I think he can develop into that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 24 years old, bro. He's super young.
Right.
I think he's headed in the right direction. I'm not willing to put him in the air of some of those guys you named. I think he can be his own guy. I don't necessarily see any other player in him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that.
He can make his own name.
Yeah, I think those other 2 guys are better defensively than he is at this point in his career. I'm not saying he's a bad defender. I think he's a good defender. I just think those guys were plus defenders for their size at that time. But I will point out, when the Raptors won that championship in 2019, Fred VanVleet was averaging 11 points per game and 5 assists. Mm-hmm. When Jalen Brunson in year 2, which Andrew Nembhard is also in year 2 right now, he was averaging 8 points a game. And as we see on the side, Andrew's been averaging 9 throughout this season. But in the playoffs, he's at 14 points per game, 5 assists per game, only 1 turnover, and he's got 56% from the field and 48% from 3.
Numbers don't lie.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that he is getting to that place where he can kind of be the next small guard to be an elite guard. And I want to point this out too. I actually got to play against Brunson when we were in high school. We played in the Nike EYBL. Mm-hmm. I got to guard him because that was my job, was to shut down the other team's best player. And I honestly didn't see the dog that's in him now. Now, that's just to say that Nembhard, you were saying he doesn't have that dog. I think it's one of those things that can be built. I don't think early in his career as a Maverick he really had that, but now he's kind of showing that in New York, and I think that's a product of being with Luka, a guy who has that, as we saw before,
the
ultimate rapid dog in him. So I think if Nembhard gets a guy in Indiana to really kind of build him up and get that, that edge, that chip on his shoulder. And obviously we know Rick Brunson puts that chip on Jalen Brunson's shoulder as well, his dad. So if he has a guy that kind of in his corner to be like, hey, you got to be a dog in order to like get it done and be who you really want to be in this league, he could obviously have the chance to be like those other two guys we mentioned before. I
think that's well said. For all the latest on the Patriots, check out Foxborough Rush. Check out the full episode on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you follow us on all your social media accounts for all of our best content. Ante, I was looking at this. I almost couldn't believe it. We're a month out from the NBA draft. Yep. You and I have been so knee-deep in Celtics championship talk that I'm almost forgetting that the damn draft is fast approaching. So, look, a month away from this, are there any players? I always lean on you for my draft coverage here. Are there any players you're looking at rising up the draft board and maybe can get hot leading up to this thing? Because you know exactly who I got my eyes on. I've been telling you since college basketball season was in season, Zach Edey is an NBA player. I believe it in my heart of hearts. He's not shown me anything at the combine that changes my mind. He's developing that catch and shoot, wide open three-point shot.
It's not coming.
He's not going to – hey, listen, he's not going to Luka you and give you a rabid dog bark and do a step back in your face.
Right.
But all I need, big man, just get out there occasionally, catch and shoot, come off my bench for me, post up, do what you did at Purdue. I like Zach Edey, and I'm hoping that he rises up the draft board. I'd like to see him in a Celtics uniform, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I always have a couple guys that I have to point out. And I like Zach Edey as well. I think he's going to be a great player in this league in the right system. The three-pointer's not coming. I've told you that before. At least not anytime soon. We might have to wait till year 4 or 5 before we finally see that one. But look, I got to shout out these two guys. Cody Williams from Colorado, brother Jalen Williams, who plays for the OKC Thunder, obviously. He's a great guard, 6'7", athletic enough to play defense, 7-foot wingspan. You really love to see the frame. He's a little slight, you know what I mean? But we remember Jalen, his older brother, coming into the league out of Santa Clara. He was really small too, and now he's a stocky guy in the league. So I think he can add weight as well. It's in the genetics. But he also, Cody, shot 41% from 3 in college. Now, he only shot 41 attempts because he was injured and it wasn't really his offense. He was just trying to find a place inside of that offense. But he averaged 11 points a game, at Colorado, which is great for a young guy of his age. I believe he's 19. So he has an opportunity to do something really special. I think in these draft workouts, young guys like this who get an opportunity, who miss a lot of time during the season, get the opportunity to show that they're healthy, make shots, play hard. They rise up the draft board. I've seen him in that late lottery range. Okay. I would not be shocked if I saw him go 8 or even a little bit higher than that after we go throughout this draft process. And then the other guy that I want to shout out is Jared McCain from Duke. Obviously, I'm a California kid. I played against Jared and his brother when I was in college. I used to go back home and play in these pro-am runs or whatever, and I played against his brother when he was in middle school. Wow. And he was competing with pro guys then and hanging, which was surprising. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, it was mostly catch and shoot, but that kid could always shoot. He was making his shots then, and he was guarding guys that were way bigger and way stronger than him, and that's what I really want to point out in this process. He competes, man. He's an ultimate competitor. I liken him to a guy like C.J. McCollum. I think a lot of guys are really doubting him in this process because he's small, 6'3" guy. Sure. Strictly kind of showed only the ability to be a shooter at Duke, but going back to his high school days, which really translates more to the NBA, he's a shooter, he can score, he can facilitate, and he will defend. He's a willing defender, which you want from a guy who's his size, and he actually does have a frame that's strong and built, and I think he's going to be able to show that in the right place in the league. So they have him right now in the late first round, like a 25. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him go earlier than around 18 or 20.
Okay, hey, we're going to have the draft here shortly, just a month away. All right, I want to talk about Caitlin Clark before we let you go here, Ante, because you and I were trying to guess when she was going to get her first win. We've been wrong at every turn. Over the weekend, not only did she get it, she hit the game winner.
Right.
And then a few nights later, she was back to getting knocked down and beat up and dragged down against these defenses in this league.
Yep.
So the ups and downs for Caitlin Clark are real. In fact, Sun head coach Stephanie White talked about her impact and bringing more fans to the game. Let's take a listen to that, Ante, and then we'll react to Caitlin Clark on the other side.
Of course.
I think one of the great things about when you have an arena full of people is just the energy is different. You're not having to create your own energy. And whether they're for you, whether they're against you, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's the types of environments that most of these players are used to playing in the college level. And now it's translating to the WNBA, and it just makes it a lot of fun. And they put on a great show for the fans. And, it's we always say in the W, like, it's about time, right? It's about time that it started to carry over, and it's about time that people are coming in and witnessing the greatness of these women who are the best at what they do.
So there it is. I mean, listen, no one can deny the impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing the charter flights. We know the salaries are going to go up. Obviously, like Coach just talked about, we're seeing more fans at the game. TV ratings have never been higher. I mean, the impact of the game speaks for itself. But I think Caitlin Clark's game will continue to develop and will continue to get better, and she'll be just fine too, Ante.
Yeah, in these 2 games over the weekend, she didn't really shoot it too well. The big difference in the win versus the loss was the other things in the stat sheet. In the win against the Sparks, she had 10 rebounds, 8 assists. The big part, 4 steals, 1 block, and 2 turnovers, just 2 turnovers, which she's known to be struggling with earlier in her career. So that was really big. Her teammates have been picking her up as well. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey, Timmy all had 17-plus points in their win against the Sparks on Friday. On Saturday, they also picked her up. Lexi Hull obviously got involved with the scoring as well. But it's really going to be huge for her and her teammates to lock in on the defensive end. That's where they really lost that game against the Aces. Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, who we know is a star, and Jackie Young all had 20-plus points, and they also had 19 fast break points as a team. You got to slow them down. You got to be able to play defense and really be confident in that, and that will allow them to really open up their offensive game as a whole.
Well said, my friend. Well, we appreciate you as always, sir, and we'll bring you back for the next Hold My Banner as we always do. Ante Campbell, the walking, talking, triple-double, the man, producer extraordinaire. I want to end here with really how I began, just that this championship this season is just more complex and layered than just saying, oh, well, the Celtics won the title. Good for them. Or the Timberwolves won the title. Or the Mavericks won. No. Like, this stuff affects everything from star players to role players to coaches to franchises. Think about this. If the Celtics get it done like all of us, most of us think is going to happen, right? Well, I mean, we get a championship parade in Boston again, right? Banner number 18. Think about that. One of the most iconic brands in all of sports gets more iconic. Great. How about this? If the Mavericks win it, it's the first one in a long time, yet another dominant European player that we saw from yesteryear in Dirk, you got another one in Luka. What about the Timberwolves? First one ever. Young core, amazing. Anthony Edwards is an awesome young dynamic talent. Karl Anthony Towns, labeled a loser for years, finally gets one. Rudy Gobert with so many Defensive Player of the Year awards. No one likes him, but if he gets a title, can't deny him. So you can't wait to see it. And we're all here for it together on Hold My Banner. For all of our best content of the day, make sure you follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. For Travis Thomas and Ante Campbell, hold my banner till we hold it again. Banner 18 loading. Until next time, peace.